So yesterday I did a video on war mode and solo PvP as the new reworked hunter, and a person asked me how did I heal for so much, and I thought that is a good question. How did I heal for so much? And it's just one of those things that people might be curious about because we have been used to hunts being so squishy, and well, they haven't really been squishy, but when you don't have defensives up, you would die basically. And the defensives are on long cooldowns, and you had to use the limited amount of traps that you had to survive, and it's just been horrible. So with the new rework, we have gotten things changed quite a bit. And in my demonstration yesterday, I showed how much we could actually heal for as a hunter. Now, I did also use some tricks that I have learned from playing the crappy version of Hunter back in Dragonflight, because we had to, otherwise we could not survive. So I just want to show exactly what I do to heal so much and to stay alive for so long as I do. And I just want to point out, because the video from yesterday, I'm still getting used to reworked Hunter, right? So some of my defenses wasn't pressed, like for example, Feign Death was constantly not being pressed during moments they should have been pressed, and traps were not used. And but it's much easier when you're not in the heat of the moment and you're just sitting here talking. The first thing I want to talk about here is that, of course, we do pretty much still have all the same talents. We didn't really receive anything new going into the War Within, but everything sort of got upgraded a little bit. We have received pretty much all the different traps and utility that we in Dragonflight had to pick between. So we always had Freezing Trap. That's always been like a baseline thing, right? But now as well, we do also have High Explosive Trap and Intimidation, and we can have both at the same time. We don't have to choose one, because we used to do that in Dragonflight. So you have to pick one of those, and now we can have both, which is always good. Same thing goes for when it comes to Binding Shot, which is actually a stun. We had to pick between that one or Scatter Shot. Now we can have both. So we have both of them now. On top of that, we do of course also have Tart Trap, which roots enemies if you pick that talent for it to root. And then we do of course have our Ranged Slow. And those are kind of like the traps that we have. You can also, if you want to, instead of High Explosive Trap, loud noise coming from somewhere. It's one of those weird things, like this noise is coming from the crystal, but it's not when it turns dark. It's just weird and random. Just to kind of show it, we could also, instead of High Explosive Trap, choose to go with our Steel Trap, which is another kind of route that immobilizes people for 20 seconds, or at least, less in PvP. And also causes them a small amount of bleed damage. Like the bleed damage is so insignificant that you're not picking this one for damage, you're just basically picking this to root people or immobilize them for a short period of time. So to me personally, High Explosive Trap has always been just like super fun in World PvP and Battlegrounds. So of course I'm going to go with that one. But I did also heal quite a bit during my fights. And this is actually a trick that you can do in Dragonflight as well. This is pretty much what hunters have been forced to do up until now. Because we had so bad defensives, right? So I just want to show this before we get into all the new stuff that Hunter received, because this is actually a trick that I think a lot of Hunter players don't actually know about. Basically, I have a macro, and this is one that you can get as well. It's fairly simple, but in order to explain why I have the macro, let's talk about pets, because I do have a tenacity pet out. And tenacity pets, if you didn't know, like right now, if you look at my health, it is 1403k health, right? So if I dismiss my pet, you can see that it goes down to 1336k health. So I gained a little bit of health simply by summoning my pet. And that is because it is a tenacity pet, so my health pool gets a little bit bigger. That is more healing, so to speak, because you have more health, right? At the same time, a tenacity pet will also give you Fortitude of the Bear as your spell, which is basically a spell that gives you 20% more maximum health, but also heals you for that amount. So now your health pool became even bigger if you press that spell. On top of that, if you then press Acceleration, which heals you for a percentage of your health, it means that because you have a bigger health pool, you heal for more when you press Acceleration. But that's not everything, because I do also, and this again is something we had to do in Dragonflight because hunters had so bad healing, I do also have a trinket, which is my Gladiator trinket, that also increases my maximum health by a certain amount. So again, by using the Gladiator trinket, then use Fortitude of the Bear, then use Acceleration, all in one macro, I basically have a mini lay on hand, like the Paladin healing spell that just heals them up to full health, basically. And this means that I just heal for a crap ton whenever I press this macro. Let me just show the macro really quick, because I do have it in here. So I called it Super Heal, and basically just uses, it says /use 13, which is my trinket space. Then I have cast Fortitude of the Bear, and then I have cast Acceleration. Sometimes you do need to press it twice, the macro, in order for it to like have everything go off at the same time. So sometimes it might just use my trinket and my Fortitude of the Bear, but it doesn't quite use Acceleration, so I gotta press it once more. But basically this one heals you up by a lot. So you're more than welcome to copy this. This is going to work in Dragonflight as well. Just make sure you get the Gladiator Trinket inside the PvP area inside World Dragon. And that's basically like the small trick I've been using up until now when it comes to Dragonflight in order to heal myself. Besides that, we can also cover some of the new stuff that we got this expansion here. We do still have Roar of Sacrifice, which a lot of people don't see as healing. But basically, whenever someone is attacking you, of course you have regular attacks hitting you, but then you also have crits hitting you, which makes you lose a lot more health, right? Roar of Sacrifice basically makes you immune to these crits that enemies might be hitting on you, especially in PvP. So having this Roar of Sacrifice is a very underrated talent. Because it doesn't directly heal your health bar, people don't see it as healing, but it does actually prevent a lot of damage done to you. So having that, making sure you press that during a fight, because it lasts for 12 seconds, which is quite long, is really good. So having this one as kind of like healing, because it prevents damage done to you, is super important. At the same time, you of course still have Acceleration, which is now a improved version than Dragonflight, because it only takes 10 focus for it to actually go 1 second off cooldown. So this one just basically goes off cooldown a lot faster, so I can use it more frequently inside the fights that you saw in the last video. On top of that, we now have a much improved version of Survival of the Fittest. Like, this can't even be compared to the previous one, I think. So basically this one is 2 charges now. It does say it's 1.5 minute recharge, but I think that's because of a error inside the talent tree, because right now I do have a talent here that reduces, let's see if I can find it here, reduce the cooldown of Survival of the Fittest by 30 seconds. And then if you go down here, it says reduces the cooldown of Aspect of the Eagle, Aspect of the Cheetah, Survival of the Fittest, and Aspect of the Turtle by 30 seconds. Which means that because Survival of the Fittest is 2-minute baseline, it should be 1 minute recharge, but right now it doesn't actually weave into that. So it's, for some reason, it's still just 1.5 minute recharge. It should be 1 minute, unless for some reason this doesn't stack. I don't know. And that basically means that you have 30% reduced damage for 8 seconds twice every 1 minute, which is pretty cool. On top of that, if you go inside your hero tree, I did actually go with Pack Leader. And I do know that for Survival Hunter, it is kind of seen as Sentinel being the mandatory one because it deals more damage. But because I love self-healing and I love doing world PvP, I chose Pack Leader to test out. As you can see, I haven't really fully tested out Sentinel yet. And that's simply because we have this talent down here called Den Recovery that heals you for 20% over 4 seconds anytime you press either Aspect of the Turtle or Survival of the Fittest. Okay, don't mind the min pet part, because that's only for your pet. So your pet gets healed 20% over 4 seconds. But Aspect of the Turtle and Survival of the Fittest, which again we have 2 charges of now, will actually heal you for 20% of your maximum health, which can also be combined together with Fortitude of the Bear, or having a Tenacity pet out, or using a Gladiator Trinket, because if you use those, you get a bigger health pool, and then you also heal 20% on top of that. So again, Survival of the Fittest combined with that Den Recovery talent inside the hero tree, make sure that you heal for a lot, and basically makes that you don't need a healer on you, pretty much. Sentinel is a little bit different from my understanding. It basically shields you. It says here it shields you 1% of your maximum health up till 10%, based on when a Sentinel deals damage to an enemy. So this one basically just makes you a little bit more tanky, whereas the other one over here makes you a little bit more healing. It heals you more. So, you know, it's more of a matter of taste. Sentinel is probably the one to pick in like instance PvP together with healers, because, you know, they don't have to heal you as much, because you should always go for tankiness if you have a healer behind you. But for solo PvP in the open world, I went with Pack Leader, because I want to heal myself. Then of course we do also have Aspect of the Turtle, that is just the usual one, but this time around, like we just talked about, it also heals you for 20% of your health when you press it. On top of that, as a survival hunter, we have Mending Bandage as a PvP talent. This one is going to heal you for 30% of your maximum health, and it clears bleeds, poisons, and diseases from you. You can also use this one on other people, by the way, so you can run up to someone and just heal them. So if there's an NPC nearby, this guy. So if you use it, okay, well, he's not healable, but if you use it on an ally, they will also get healed, okay? This one in general, you'll see I used it quite a bit on the rogue at the beginning of the last video. Whenever he dotted me up and he put all the bleeds and poisons on me, I just pressed this one. It does break on damage, so if you get hurt or hit while you channel this one, you will stop channeling it, which basically means that you don't really heal for anything, but it prevents a lot of damage if you have a rogue that dots you up. So you just remove all the dots, basically. You'll even notice that when I went into my Aspect of the Turtle in the fight during the second fight with that rogue, I pressed this one and all the bleeds and dots went off, and I actually healed up 30% because there was nothing hurting me inside the Aspect of the Turtle. So this one is quite good as well, and it's pretty mandatory if it comes to solo PvP, at least I think so. And then of course we have probably the most important one, because we have Feign Death on a 30-second cooldown. Now for PvEers, this might not seem that important, because, okay, so use Feign Death in PvP, what? Doesn't make sense. But we do actually have a PvP talent called Survival Tactics, and this one basically makes it so that Feign Death reduces damage taken by 90% for 3 seconds. So if you see, for example, a Demon Hunter bursting in on you, opening up with his cooldowns and everything, like in the last video where I did not press Feign Death, you should press Feign Death, because then basically for 3 seconds you become pretty immune to all the different damage that he's throwing at you. So there was that moment with the Demon Hunter in the last video where my health just went like all the way down to the crapper in like 3 seconds, and I should have pressed Feign Death, because then I would have survived. But because I wasn't looking at my health, I didn't know I was supposed to have pressed it. So Feign Death is super crucial. It's only in a 30-second cooldown, and it basically makes you immune to damage for 3 seconds. So that's super important as well. So how do I heal for so much? It's basically a combination between actually healing myself using Survival of the Fittest, and using that macro that I was talking about by combining Fortitude of the Bear together with Acceleration. Again, in a lot of cases, Acceleration is going to be up a lot faster than Fortitude of the Bear, because it gets reduced cooldown when you spend focus. So sometimes before Fortitude of the Bear is actually back online, I can use another Acceleration, and then when Acceleration is back up again, then I can use it together with Fortitude of the Bear for the second time. So we have a lot of defensives, which basically negate damage or makes you shield damage, together with the new healing that we received with the hero talents, you know, in order to have Survival of the Fittest heal you, together with actually being able to heal yourself, together with your pet abilities. So it's a bunch of, it's like a stew with a bunch of things all thrown in there, where you just have to like kind of know what all the different abilities do. So it's not like a warrior that has maybe like 2 or 3 spells that can heal themselves or sustain themselves. Hunters have a lot of things they need to press constantly. Like we have so many things with different effects. Like I didn't even talk about camouflage, because that heals you as well. So if you manage to, which is by the way a lot easier now because you have so many traps now. If I were to actually throw a stun on this person, run away and kite, get out of combat, now I'm a, what do you call it, a night elf, so I can shadow melt and then go back into camouflage, which heals you to 100% if you stay in camouflage for the entire time. So we have a lot of healing now. We can very easily survive, and together with all the different abilities that we have that also reduces our damage taken, we're pretty tanky. And I would argue we're probably one of the most tankiest classes in the game right now, at least as a DPS, which I hope remains, because I'm going to main hunter going into the War Within. But I did also see another person comment underneath my last video talking about the fact that Sentinel was mandatory because it deals more damage, and if you go up against warriors or death knights or shadow priests, then basically they have so much self-healing or armor that you just cannot kill them as Survival Hunter because Survival Hunter's damage is so bad when you get to max level. I haven't tested that because, as you can see, I have not gotten to max level yet with this hunter here. That's kind of on purpose because I don't want things spoiled for me. But we're going to have to see, because it is, of course, really annoying if you could survive very well, but you just cannot kill stuff because you just don't have the damage. So, you know, a person did write in the comments that they would much rather trade away some of the survivability we received for a little bit more damage, where... I don't know, like, I'm so used to having so bad self-healing as a hunter that you had to use all these weird tips and tricks with macros and stuff like that to heal, that taking away the healing now to gain more, you know, damage, it just feels a little bit... It's like the last thing I want to happen to Hunter now, because we finally got self-sustain. We can finally heal ourselves. And I know that a lot of people who likes to do arena PvP and stuff like that, you know, because they have a healer behind them, they might be willing to sacrifice some of the self-healing. I don't, because I do solo PvP. I do battlegrounds, you know, where I'm basically running around by myself. I do world PvP, and I love the fact that I can actually just survive. This is probably going to be a weird take, but I would rather see DKs, what do you call it, Shadow Priest and Warriors just have a little bit less durability rather than us having to sacrifice something for it. So yeah, that's pretty much like what I have. I do have one more thing, which I didn't really mention because it's not really an ability you have, but of course I have a potion to heal myself, which is on a 5-minute cooldown. So that one is kind of like an emergency, oh crap, I'm about to die sort of thing that I can press. So I do have a potion on me as well, which you should always have if you want to do world PvP. So potion is also important. But besides that, having these different defensives and then also having all the different traps and everything, like all the utility that we now have, basically means that you have to press less defensives because now you have even more traps. So even though we got more self-healing, we got more defensives, we actually need to use them less now because of the traps, which is just amazing. So I hope this kind of gave an idea about why I healed so much in the last video. I think it's primarily what people are referring to is most likely my little macro here. I can actually try and show it off. So if I go up here and I take some damage. Okay, we can actually take a little bit more damage. Ooh, okay. So let's use it now. So basically, you can see I heal for a lot more. It's still healing me, by the way, because the acceleration effect is still on me. So there we go. I have like this much health left that needs to be healed, which I think is what I had left over from my fall to the ground part, right? So as you can see, it's a pretty amazing macro, and you can press that every 2 minutes together with Fortitude of the Bear. So yeah, what do you guys think about survival healing, or just hunter healing in general? I really love the fact that we can finally actually defend ourselves. I know a lot of people, they hate hunters because they deal so much damage, or at least not survival hunter, because survival hunter is kind of known at the moment, even in Dragonflight, to not have the best damage. I don't know, I just kind of love how we can actually see ourselves play survival hunter now, run around the open world, or maybe alone in the battleground, and actually heal ourselves, because we don't need a pocket healer. We can just sustain ourselves, which is something that I love classes should be able to do. I think every class in the game should somewhat be able to just solo PvP without needing a healer. So yeah, having all this stuff is just incredible. It's my one reason for going back to Hunter for the War Within. I did see a Bellalov video. He just put it out yesterday, and he talked about the fact that we were so far in to the development now that the rework of Hunter, like if they're going to change Hunter in any sort of way, they're going to make like minor adjustments. They're not going to rework something inside the Hunter tree now because they're so close to launch. So hopefully we're still going to have the same amount of defensives. Maybe they'll just tweak it a little bit. Maybe they'll reduce the seconds that we have these. I don't know, but hopefully things are going to stay like it is, because then I'll have a lot of fun going into the War Within. Again, Demon Hunters are still overpowered, okay? And they did not receive any sort of weird nerfs from my understanding. They're still as powerful. They might have received some nerfs, but they're still powerful, okay? So, you know, Hunters should have their fun too. So yeah, what do you guys think about Hunter? Of course, we do still, from my understanding, have a problem when it comes to damage. which is something that we also had at least a survival hunter in Dragonflight. I think marksman and beastmaster are doing just fine when it comes to damage. That's my impression of it, at least. But survival hunter should have a little bit more damage from my understanding, again, because I hear what the community is saying. So defensive wise, we are good. Like, I hope we don't get less defensives now, because it will be kind of bittersweet to finally give us survivability and then take it away from us again. But yeah, it's good. So hopefully you learned something from this video when it came to healing, and I'll see you guys next time.